folks wouldn't try to suppress the vote if it wasn't so important. Hi, my name is Michele Rayner, and I am an attorney, and I'm also the state representative-elect for House District 70. I've been practicing law for about 8 years, and I just recently ran for office here in St. Petersburg and Manatee County, North Sarasota, and Hillsborough County. Before I ever became an elected official, I was in community with organizations such as the Dream Defenders, such as Black Lives Matter and the Movement for Black Lives, the Carter G. Woodson, other organizations, CDAD, and all of these other organizations that make our community so amazing. And also, because of the work that I do as a civil rights attorney, I've been able to represent families right here in our community in their darkest time. And so that is how I, have been in community. So for me, even going to and running for elective office was just really the next natural progression of the work I've already been doing in building community here.
Is there anything on the ballot that you think is most important that maybe you do have some background information on that you'd like to tell us about?
So I think one of the most important things that are on the ballot besides the presidential, of course, is Amendment 3. And Amendment 3 it's called All Voters Vote. And I really highlight that because I think that the title is disingenuous, because when you think of all voter votes, you're thinking, great, it's going to be opened up to everyone. But really the purpose of this amendment is really to allow big business, allow money to buy elections. And what we're seeing with Amendment 3 is that it would be the total number of vote getters that would be able to be voted on. So the example that I share is if All Voters Vote was enacted in 2018, we would have had to decide between Ron DeSantis and Adam Putnam. They were the total number of vote getters in the gubernatorial primary. But my concern is that you're going to see minority communities disenfranchised. You're not going to see as many of minority candidates actually being elected to office. And that is also going to threaten communities. They're going to have people that are just going to be able to weigh in and buy an election and not really have folks that reflect the values of our community. There's never been a time where the Republican Party and the Democratic Party have agreed on a ballot amendment, and they're even saying voting no. So many folks are saying, this is not the way that you want to do it. This is not the way, if you want to bring in independent voters, this is not how you do that.
Well, thanks for breaking that down. Is there anything else, I know you're an attorney, do you know any of the judges on the ballot?
So, I think about the judges and I get all of those questions. And so you say, okay, well, no, let's tell them to not be retained. And then you say, well, we can say that they can be retained. Here's where we're at. If we say no and then all of those judges go, then our current governor gets to reappoint or gets to appoint whoever he would like. So really it's kind of like a lose-lose situation. So I'm actually just advising folks just to say yes, and then hopefully, in the next cycle, we'll have someone else that could possibly appoint judges that are fair-minded, that are actually going to be, jurists that are actually going to follow the law and things of that nature. And I don't want to say those judges are not following the law. I don't want to say that, but I do want to say that, it's political, right? And so making sure that there are judges that are going to protect people's rights, that are not going to throw our rights under the bus.
Is there anything else on the ballot that sticks out to you that's something the everyday person might not know about?
I think that also we want to focus on the local races, and not just the House races. Obviously, I'm a soon-to-be House member, but our local races, our school board races, our tax collector races, our property appraiser races, because those races also affect your everyday life. These are the people that are going to be making decisions about your life that are going to directly affect you. So one of the things that I am really passionate about is the school board race, because we think about the school to prison pipeline, we think about issues of criminalization of Black and brown children and poor students. And so we need to make sure that we have a school board that reflects the values that are important to us and reflects the values of protecting all children and making the educational system equitable for all children.
Yeah. Is there anyone that sticks out to you?
Oh, well, yeah, of course. I'm openly supporting Caprice Edmond for Pinellas County School Board. I'm also supporting Laura Hine for Pinellas County School Board. I think that they're really right on track. And obviously Caprice, I mean, she has just such a proven record of not only advocating for students, but doing work nationally, statewide, and locally.
What would you say to someone who doesn't know how their vote matters as far as supporting you in your work and the work that you do?
Right, so I'm wearing this sweatshirt purposely. There is power in our vote. And I think a lot of times we get frustrated, and I think rightfully so. But I always tell people, one, folks wouldn't try to suppress the vote if it wasn't so important, right? There wouldn't be all of these things that happen to suppress it. For example, we saw that the website went down for voter registration, and it was down for several hours. And, that is voter suppression. And, people had to call for it to be, extended for a certain period of time. And so one of the things is I get why people are frustrated. I get why people may not want to vote or say, well, why does my vote mean anything? But I think it's that point that you have to resist, that you actually have to do what it takes to vote. Because not only have people died for our right to vote, but it is so important because literally your vote is your voice. And for me, I think that whether you're voting for me, whether you're voting for anybody else, it's so important to make sure that you are educated in your vote and that you actually do it.
Do you have anything that you would suggest, any sources, any reliable resources?
Yeah. So one, I love the League of Women Voters. I think that they're amazing. They're nonpartisan and they're usually right on the money with their recommendations. I also look at the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. I also look at the Movement for Black Lives. I also look at the ACLU, and I also look to elected officials that I trust, that align with my values, that align with what I believe in. And I look to them and kind of see what are they saying about the issues. And of course, you do your own research. You kind of go down that Google rabbit hole of trying to find information. But the ones that I named are really where I normally go to, especially when I don't really know what's going on. And then I kind of look from what their recommendations are and then still go down that rabbit hole.
Is there anything else that you'd like to tell someone who's skeptical, who isn't sure about how their vote affects maybe local organizers like you? Yeah. How we can vote to help you keep doing what you're doing?
Of course, I'm going to say vote for Joe Biden and vote for Kamala Harris and vote for, moral-minded people. Because at the end of the day, I get being skeptical, but even in your skepticalness, if that's a word, I need you to vote. I need you to just take a chance. One of the things that 45 famously said was, what do you have to lose? Remember when he said that to Black people? What do you have to lose? Well, I would say that to folks who don't want to vote. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? Let's go, let's vote, because that is literally the only way that our voice will be heard. And we have seen throughout the country, when we've had progressive candidates such as myself, such as Anna Eskamani, such as Carlos Gamero Smith, such as Shepard Jones, when the people get together, the people come together and say, listen, we're going to make sure that we're going to have someone that's reflective of our values, that can be held accountable, and that's actually going to do the work. The people will win, but the people cannot win if we do not vote.